Well, it happened again. The Blue Jays get their silver medal, which means absolutely nothing in the Roki Sasaki deal. And trade rumors heating up around Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and the Mets. What is going on? It's news after news after news in Blue Jays land.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. Thank you for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and you'll get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. As always, I'm Braden Iwasco. He's Carter First. You can find us on Twitter, Braden5Iwasco. Carter First, too, as well on Instagram and TikTok, at Locked On Blue Jays. If you're new here to YouTube or listening anywhere else, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Helps us out. It's free to do so. You might as well. You guys have been killing it lately. And Discord link is down in the description, so make sure you guys go and join that if you want to talk Blue Jays with us any time of day. Always, that is open and available to you. Lot to get into today. I think let's just get right into it because there is, it's a ton of news, honestly. So let's start out. We're going to start out with Roki Sasaki, final thoughts and opinions and how all that went down. And then, of course, the Mets and the Blue Jays, Pete Alonso, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., trades, signings, the whole mix, the whole ordeal. It sort of all came to a head just over the weekend. So I will update you guys on everything going on there. But Carter, fallout of Roki Sasaki. I sort of expected it. I know you were a little bit more into this one. Was this sort of like a shot to the heart a little bit for you? How did that feel?
Yeah, it felt like the final bullet that finally ended my life as a Toronto Blue Jays fan. I was pretty depressed, honestly, when it happened. I came on the Friday podcast, said it felt like the Dodgers. Then I saw the Padres get cut, and for some reason, that gave me life. Out of the Shohei Ohtani, the Juan Soto, and the Roki Sasaki sweepstakes, probably the most down on Juan Soto. Never really thought that was going to happen whatsoever. It wasn't really in on Shohei Ohtani either, even though a lot of people were. I know you were more in on Shohei Ohtani. That was probably the biggest one amongst the fan base that I saw was the Shohei Ohtani sweepstakes, and obviously for good reason. You see what this guy's doing in the major leagues. And then Roki Sasaki, obviously, comes down to the Dodgers, comes down to the Blue Jays. Wasn't necessarily saying the Blue Jays had like a 75+% chance to land him. I thought it was pretty close to 50-50. It might still have been 50-50. But with Roki Sasaki coming out and saying like the money doesn't matter, again, money in this sense does not matter, but wants to be a Hall of Famer, wants to be like a face of the franchise type guy. It's a lot harder to do that with the Dodgers and the Toronto Blue Jays, just looking at, again, the depth of the team. But that could be another reason that he chose the Dodgers over the Toronto Blue Jays because their prospect system is better. Obviously, their MLB team is better, and their future just looks a whole lot more certain than the Toronto Blue Jays future. And then obviously you have Yamamoto and Shohei Ohtani over there as well. Two Japanese players, two Japanese superstars, adding another one to that mix. This one just sucks even more because with Shohei, with Juan Soto, you're paying a premium. You're paying $700 million, $765 million. Roki Sasaki is going to be on a league minimum for the next 3 seasons. That gives the Toronto Blue Jays a lot of room to maneuver, gives them a lot of opportunity to sign other free agents. There still is that possibility to do that. But then you have this Miles Straw trade. And again, that was another thing that got me into this because you make that trade, they go all in, they get that additional $2 million in bonus pool money. And now you're eating $11.5 million of Miles Straw for the next 2 seasons, who probably won't even touch the field. So definitely a shot in the heart for that signing for the Toronto Blue Jays. And the Dodgers just continue to build a super team.
Yeah, it's getting to the point where I'm about done hearing about the Dodgers, and we never will be completely out of the they will never be completely out of the news because they keep making deals, they keep signing players, and I'm like, where is this money coming from? It's nonstop. How do they keep doing this? And I'm there's a lot more disdain going on within the MLB community around the Dodgers because it is like it's getting sickening. Every player you can pretty much say, oh, well, he's probably going to end up on the Dodgers, just like Tanner Scott, 4 years, $72 million going to the Dodgers as well. And it's now I don't know. I'm just very sick and tired of it. And I don't know that there's anything that can stop this from happening. They They got the money. They're winning. There's nothing we can really say that is going to stop the Dodgers from doing this year after year after year. So I'm getting frustrated. I was thinking Sasaki was going to go to the Dodgers anyway. But you're right. When the trade happened and Miles Straw was got for the $2 million in bonus pool money that the Blue Jays acquire as well, I thought, okay, maybe something. But in the back of my head, I'm like, they're going to make this move. I think I said this to somebody at work. They're going to make this move, and then they're not going to get him anyway, and this is going to look like a bad deal. And sure enough, that's what happened. I went on to the 680 CJOB Sports Show here in Winnipeg, and yeah, it's getting to the point now where it's becoming a joke. Like the Toronto Blue Jays are sort of becoming a joke with it. And I know we said this after the Juan Soto one and the Corbin Burns one, but here's another one. The Blue Jays are runners up. It's just terrible. Um, but in saying that, Carter, that is the Roki Sasaki of it all. I mean, he didn't come to the Toronto Blue Jays, and that's that.
Here, I got one more thing on this topic here. Well, I guess I got two things. First off, let's just look at the Los Angeles Dodgers starting rotation because it is one of the most disgusting things I have ever seen in my life. So you got Shohei Ohtani in there. Again, how much does he pitch coming off of that Tommy John surgery? Maybe there's a little bit of a workup here. Maybe they don't have to rely on this guy nearly as much because of the depth you have, because of the other star talent you do have. Blake Snell, Tyler Glass now, Yamamoto, Roki Sasaki, then you got Tony Gosselin, you have Dustin Mayo, Clayton Kershaw, who's probably going to re-sign with that ball club. Just it's very scary looking at a team like that. If you're in the Dodgers division, if you are the San Diego Padres, you're any of those other teams that want to compete with the Dodgers, just good luck. And the last thing, wanted to comment on the Toronto Blue Jays, just kind of like you said, like the kings of being runners-up, the kings of the podium. Looking at Shohei Ohtani finishing second, Juan Soto finishing third, Corbin Burns being a done deal, and then the Arizona Diamondbacks coming out of nowhere. So I just wanted to go over the list of over the last couple of seasons, how many players the Toronto Blue Jays have missed out on, but been in on, been runners-up on, been podium finishers. You got Roki Sasaki, obviously the most recent one. Shohei Ohtani, Juan Soto the last couple of seasons. Just from this season, Corbin Burns, you had Max Fried, Blake Snell, not as much on Blake Snell, but still they were in on Blake Snell. Teoscar Hernandez, final three as well. And then on this list, they have Willy Adames as well. Not really too much in on that one. Didn't see too many reports on Willy Adames. But there's still Anthony Santander. There's still Alex Bregman, who they seem to be in the top three on. And then the other guy we're going to talk about, Pete Alonso. So there's still a lot more opportunity for us to be hurt as Toronto Blue Jays fans, which is very scary to look at for the near future.
Yeah, and in saying that, I guess we might as well get into Pistol Pete here. There was so much news that came out, so I'm going to paint a little picture here just before we get fully into it. So the Mets were always looking at Vladimir Guerrero Jr. as a possible option for next season. The Blue Jays were somewhat in on Pistol Pete as they thought they could bring him in as a DH, and then if the Vladimir Guerrero Jr. deal doesn't happen, they can move him over to one. The Mets have been trying to talk to the Blue Jays about trade possibilities for Vladimir Guerrero Jr., get him there a year early, and then re-sign him to whatever he needs. So this is what came out. Alonso's market heating up with three teams, including the Toronto Blue Jays, engaged in discussions for the power-hitting first baseman. League sources say if the Blue Jays landed Alonso, they'd still prefer to keep Vladimir Guerrero Jr., a person familiar with the club's thinking. Said Guerrero played 12 games at third base last year, and he and Alonso could serve as the club's designated hitters. And the Mets wanted a deal done with Alonso. They talked about, wanting to get this done. They offered him. He didn't accept it. So now Pistol Pete looks like he is now on the market. He is a free agent going to a new team. The Mets, it sounds like, will not re-sign Pete Alonso. So that's why they are now offering trade offers for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Now, what's going to come of this, Carter? I don't know. How much do you see Vladimir Guerrero Jr. as a trade piece? Obviously, it came out as well that the Toronto Blue Jays would look to get more than what Juan Soto got in that trade a few years ago. So I just don't think that necessarily there's a deal to be done for Vlad if that's what the Toronto Blue Jays are looking for. I think that's a ton of pieces that a team is going to have to willingly ship over, and the Blue Jays are going to want right now talent, some MLB ready to go talent. And are there teams that are willing to then take on Vladimir Guerrero Jr. but give up MLB talent right now? I don't know what the thought process is on this one.
Yeah, I don't see it as being anything that I am taking with any validity. Normally, when I look at a lot of insider takes and a lot of insider posts, I just take kind of bits and pieces from it. But I think Ben Nicholson-Smith really hammered this one on the head when it's regarding Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and a trade to the New York Mets. So I'm just going to read out his full quote here. Blue Jays are actively negotiating an extension with Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and he's the most important hitter in their lineup. So the recent New York Mets trade speculation feels like wishful thinking on the part of the Mets and possibly an attempt to gain leverage on Pete Alonso. And I think that is exactly what it is. I think that a lot of these insider reports, probably the Mets were throwing out ideas like this. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. coming to the Toronto Blue Jays, coming to the New York Mets from the Toronto Blue Jays, because we've seen Ross Atkins talk about Vladimir Guerrero Jr., we've seen Mark Shapiro, we've seen the organization being at least in talks with contract extensions. There has been absolutely nothing that has alluded to Vladimir Guerrero Jr. getting traded. And now with all the contract extension talks getting picked up and getting a little bit more fire in between them, why would they pick now to start shopping Vladimir Guerrero Jr.? Again, unless they get this huge offer, this offer that blows you away for the Juan Soto sweepstakes. And if it's more than that, I can see that. But what team is going to offer more than that for 1 year of Vladimir Guerrero Jr.? You can say Juan Soto is for sure a better player than Vladdy. Doesn't necessarily make sense for them to offer a bigger package for 1 year of Vladdy, especially with that uncertainty. You might give that package and you might have him gone next year because you're going to have to pay him a whole lot more in that free agent market. So this feels like a ploy from the New York Mets, maybe just to gain leverage on Pete Alonso, maybe to try to get him to go to a little bit lower of an average annual value. Because from other reports I have seen, and obviously the Jesse Winker signing might throw a little bit of a wrench into things as well. But an offer for Pete Alonso was recently rejected. It was 3 years between a value somewhere of 68 to 70 million, and that's from Joel Sherman and Dan Martin. That included opt-outs as well. Looks like Pete Alonso is looking for somewhere up to even $30 million a year, which for me is on the high side. But if you're the Toronto Blue Jays at this point, you're still on Anthony Santander, but you missed out on so many different free agents. It seems like with every free agent they miss out on, there's more and more incentive to go out and maybe slightly overpay for one of these superstars, because you're seeing what other teams in the division are doing. You're seeing what other teams around the league are doing. If you want to be competitive, you're going to have to make some major moves to match the move of some of these competitive teams around the league.
Yeah, it's getting to the point now where that's the situation you're put in. Obviously, players are avoiding coming to Toronto, and we've had this discussion throughout the entire offseason so far. If you check the comment section, some of you have been saying the same thing, right? Is that these players just don't want to be here, obviously, because the Blue Jays have had the higher offers in some of these deals, and it just can't get done. Obviously, the Jeff Hoffman signing gets done. Great deal for the Blue Jays. Love that signing. But still, you need that bat to be added into this lineup, and what's available. Like we said, Carter, two of our top free agents are still available on this market in Anthony Santander and Alex Bregman. And where do those guys go? The Blue Jays apparently still have the highest offer in to Anthony Santander. But in my head, how much does that matter if he doesn't pull the trigger and come here? You could have the highest offer by 50 million. And if people don't want to come to Toronto, they might not take it, which is shocking. And I don't necessarily know what this team has to do to flip that script. And probably it would be win next season, win a ton of games, make a playoff run, and show teams that you have the skill as of right now to do that and attract players. Winning defeats everything, right? Winning sets the tone for every free agent wanting to come to Toronto. It helps everything. It helps the fans. It helps free agents. It helps your organization. That's what has to be done. And the Blue Jays are in a very tough situation now, always coming in second place. They sort of, it's like I said before, it's becoming a joke, but it's not becoming a joke to some of these free agents that are seeing that this organization doesn't have what it takes to close these deals. Carter, a lot more to get into on all of this. Let's take a quick break here. We can hit these quick ads, come back, and we'll talk some more about Vladdy, Mets, the off-season free agency, what is still to come with about a month left before pitchers and catchers report. We'll be right back. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. I always talk about how much I love FanDuel. It's the only place where I place my bets from the first whistle to the final drive. FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5, get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's $300 to keep the action going. I'm telling you guys, bonus bets, it's pretty much free money. You can go out there, you can place your $5 bet, hopefully win, and then you can use those bonus bucks to earn yourself some free money. Just visit fanduel.com to join today. Get started with $300 in bonus bets. That's fanduel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. So, Carter, back to it. I know that, there have been speculation all season, probably last year as well, around a trade for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I just want to go over sort of a couple things that, again, this is looking back at the Juan Soto deal. The Toronto Blue Jays are talking about wanting to get more than this. So, again, Juan Soto was traded to the Yankees in 2023. The Yankees acquire Soto and outfielder Trent Grisham for right-hander Michael King, Drew Thorpe, Johnny Brito, Randy Vasquez, and catcher Kyle Higashioka. That is a huge package. And don't get me wrong, a part of that, I mean, Trent Grisham being thrown in obviously adds something as well. So it's not just those players straight up for Soto, but it is a huge package. Now, we talked about this earlier, but I don't know if there's a team that are willing to put all those guys on the market for just for 1 year of control over Vladimir Guerrero Jr. before he then has to go and test free agency. The whole trade speculation right now, I think we're all in the dark. We're in the dark on the extension. We're out in the dark on trade speculation. We're in the dark on free agents. There's a lot of unknowing, and I think a month away from going to spring training, pitchers and catchers reporting, I think I'm getting very nervous. I was feeling better, but then I sort of come back down to earth, and I'm like, wow, this team really, yes, it's better, but has it overly changed that much where it's enough to say that I'm confident in this season? I don't think so.
Oh, I'd say right now it's not even close. I would say, like, you have Jeff Hoffman, and then obviously you can be a little bit excited about Andres Jimenez. You got to hope for a bounce back season. Nick Sandlin could be good as well. But you look at this lineup as it stands right now. Like, you have your 1, 2, 3. George Springer is unfortunately probably going to be slotted in the one spot again. And you have Bo Bichette again. We're really high on Bo Bichette. We think he's going to have a bounce back season. All signs are pointing towards that, especially with it being a contract year. And you have Vladdy right now in your 4-hole. Like, there has been reports that Alejandro Kirk might be your 4-hole hitter. That will not play in any division. You could be in the Guardians Twins division in the Central, and it might not play there either. You need power bats. You need guys that can drive runners home. And whether it is, again, Santander, we talk about all the time, Santander, Bregman, even Jerks and Profar for me at this point. Pete Alonso, obviously, would prefer Pete Alonso and the other two over Jerks and Profar, but you get the picture. This team needs a power bat. This team needs to change from last season because this team technically was above a league average hitting team in terms of weighted runs created plus. But when you use the eye test, when you kind of look at it past the stats, it didn't necessarily seem like that. I always use this stat: Vladimir Guerrero Jr., the only one that hit more than 20 home runs. That is not going to play if you want to make a deep postseason run. You see all these postseason teams. You see the Yankees. You see the Los Angeles Dodgers. You see pretty much any team that goes far. The Philadelphia Phillies do this a lot too. Obviously, not necessarily last season, but they hit home runs in the postseason. That is the easiest way to elevate your team. You get one swing of the bat, you get the meat of the baseball. You can drive in 4 runs in one swing of the bat, 3 runs, 2 runs, 1 run, you name it. If you have 4 or 5 singles in a row, that's very hard to attain for one because you're putting the ball in play. Things happen. There's good elite defenders all over the place. And you, best case scenario, you score 2 runs from that. So the hitting the ball out of the ballpark is the best way to gain runs, the easiest way to gain runs. So the Toronto Blue Jays need to make a big splash here. But you talked about some trade packages for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I have to throw a ricochet shot here at the Yankees. I have one trade scenario for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Well, it's actually 2, and they're from 2 different Yankee sources. One I can actually see happening. The other one is maybe the most laughable trade I've ever seen. So I know I sent you this a couple weeks ago. So this one is relatively old, but I still wanted to bring it up on the podcast with all the news coming out. This one was Marcus Stroman and Ben Rice for Davis Schneider. I know you're a big Davis Schneider guy, not necessarily what you wanted to see, but Marcus Stroman, if you want to add pitching depth, again, you kind of have this cancer in the locker room type narrative around Marcus Stroman. Not necessarily the nicest things of Blue Jays alumni talk about Marcus Stroman. But then the other one was that exact same trade, Marcus Stroman and Ben Rice for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Ben Rice hit like 200 last year, and Marcus Stroman, again, he's not a bad pitcher, but I wouldn't say he's even a top 3 guy in the rotation. For a superstar like Vladdy, a guy that we're probably going to have to pay $500, $550 million, a trade like that would be absolutely insane. But I'm just going to put it to bed right now. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is not getting traded this offseason. There's absolutely zero chance. I will die on that hill. If things go horribly wrong throughout the season, maybe he gets moved to the All-Star break, but I really just don't see Vladimir Guerrero Jr. getting moved from the Toronto Blue Jays. I think they value a contract extension way more than trying to shop him around the league.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that they're obviously going to try to work on an extension right now before Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s own set date of spring training when he wants all offers done by from the Toronto Blue Jays. So, yeah, I think they got to work something out. They have to try because if you don't, then if you don't do anything and you can't get him signed to that extension before spring training, well, sucks to suck. You're going to probably have to pay a premium, and I just don't see the Blue Jays going to do that. And then, have you burnt the bridge? If you don't get a deal done by then, is the bridge burnt, and you can just say goodbye to Vladimir Guerrero Jr.? In my head, probably. I think then it's probably done, and he will not be a Toronto Blue Jay moving forward. Carter, I just wanted to get into a few here because I want to just get your thoughts. That we have to talk about as much as we don't think he will be traded. A lot of people are saying he will online. So here we go. I have a couple trade possibilities. You just give me a yes or no. Would you take it? That's all I want. Okay. Uh, Trade proposal from the San Diego Padres. San Diego Padres get first baseman Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Toronto Blue Jays get second base or second/first base Jake Cronenworth. Yuki Matsui, Lee Dallas DeVries, Padres #1 MLB prospect.
Again, don't love that. Don't love Jake Cronenworth. I don't think he's necessarily a player that the Toronto Blue Jays want. Prospects are nice in theory, but I'm not really getting sold on prospects. I'm taking Vladimir Guerrero Jr. every single time in that deal.
Okay, a couple more here. Seattle Mariners get Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Toronto Blue Jays get Harry Ford, #3 MLB prospect, and Tyler Locklear as well.
I don't know a lot about Tyler Locklear. I love Harry Ford. I think he's going to be a very good catcher. But when you look at the Toronto Blue Jays, you have Alejandro Kirk locked up for the next couple seasons. 2027 is the first year that Alejandro Kirk can hit the market. So again, if you want Harry Ford, you probably would be a good prospect. But I'm going to have a similar take on all these kind of prospect calls. When you just look at trades from around the league, you look at the Juan Soto trades. Trent Grisham, by the way, he sucks. I'm just going to say that. I don't care that he went to the Yankees whatsoever. He's not very good. But when you look at the Mookie Betts trade, for example, Connor Wong is the only foreseeable piece that's still in that lineup that's actually doing something, being a contributor to that Boston Red Sox lineup. Prospects are lottery tickets. I love Harry Ford as a prospect, but I don't think that's enough to trade the best first baseman in all of baseball.
Yeah, Carter, I agree. There's a few more here. Some of them are just ridiculous. Like I screenshotted a bunch just that I've saw sort of throughout, the Twitter verse and the X, whatever you want to call it, plus Instagram and some, some small reports, not anybody credible. And that's, I mean, I don't know. I'm sort of in the same boat as you. I just don't think that the Blue Jays would ever get a haul back that is worth, for one, getting rid of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And by doing so, you pretty much throw away this upcoming season, which they are trying so hard to build as a, postseason contender. So, well, again, we'll have to wait and see, Carter. Let's take a quick break. Let's come back. Let's sort of wrap up our thoughts on Pete Alonso, what we can possibly see over the next week or so happening here in free agency. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back with more of that.
Today's episode is sponsored by Rocket Money. Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions that you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? That definitely happened to me. I had a few subscriptions that I didn't even realize I was still paying for, and Rocket Money is so easy to track them all. It's so easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. I know I always test out free trials, whether it's for different sites. So I was trying to cut my hair. I didn't necessarily know what hairstyle I wanted, so I got a free trial with just different haircuts that you could throw on. Almost forgot to do that, but Rocket Money obviously saved me there. Didn't have to pay for that trial for the first month, and they do that with, again, a ton of different apps. I'm a guy that loves to do the free trials, love to kind of test it out a little bit before you do have to make that big purchase and make that big commitment. But Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions or spending habits, or even the goals that you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of 500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. You can cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon.
Sorry, there you go, Carter. You're back on your proper side there.
Perfect. The right side.
Yeah. Just I guess as a wrap up here, I know that this is a lot of speculation, not sure what's happening, but that's where we are. I mean, this is the part of free agency that, the teams want to keep everybody in the dark a little bit, because I don't think the Blue Jays want to come right out and say it that, hey, we're not close to Vladimir Guerrero Jr. right now, or hey, a deal's in the works, because then that throws everything, a wrench into everything else. And I think they want to get this deal done before spring training. So, Carter, let's, I think, wrap things up here. I want a prediction. First of all, will the Blue Jays be able to re-sign Vlad before the spring training deadline? Secondly, Pete Alonso, Alex Bregman, Anthony Santander, which, if any, are a Toronto Blue Jay before spring training starts?
I said it before, so I'm going to stick to it. My head says that the Blue Jays are not going to sign Vladimir Guerrero Jr., but my heart wants it so bad, so I'm going to say yes. Vladdy does get a contract extension before that deadline. As for Santander, Alex Bregman, and Pete Alonso, I don't think Alex Bregman wants to come to the Toronto Blue Jays. I think they had the highest offer. Seems like he's going to be a Detroit Tiger, as crazy as that is. But when you had the season they had last season, Tiger School obviously is unbelievable. I think Riley Green's going to have a very good season as well. There, and you look at that prospect system, there maybe is a little bit more incentive to join for the future, especially with the Toronto Blue Jays being last in the AL East last season. Santander and Pete Alonso. A lot of people are very quick to hate on Pete Alonso, and I don't necessarily understand it. This guy's 157 home runs in the last 4 seasons. It's pretty much 39 home runs a season. He had 34 home runs last season, and people were saying he was a down year. This is, again, a guy with a floor that is unbelievable. You want home runs. I want home runs. You want home runs. Every single Toronto Blue Jays fan wants home runs. Pete Alonso makes a lot of sense in that regard. Obviously, when you talk about the fit, we need a DH, but do you want Pete Alonso to DH every single time? I don't think that's the worst case scenario. I mean, you're not getting Pete Alonso for his fielding. That's one thing for sure. And then Vlad, you can throw him over the third base. There still is some other options. You have Will Wagner, Elvis Martinez. So with Pete Alonso, as much as I would love him, I think a lot of Toronto Blue Jays fans are kind of out on Pete Alonso. I don't necessarily understand it. Some people say it's an attitude thing, a mental thing, but I don't think they're going to get Pete Alonso. I think he will either end up signing with the Mets or maybe just going to a random team that probably overpays for him. At this point, from all the talks I've seen with Anthony Santander, Hector Gomez says, again, take it with a grain of salt, it's Hector Gomez, but he says that the contract talks are picking up. The Toronto Blue Jays want to make a big move, and considering they missed out on so many top-tier free agents, you got to assume that they're going to make at least one splash, and I think that is going to be Anthony Santander. I think by the time that the season or this offseason is said and done, Anthony Santander will be a Toronto Blue Jay.
Yeah, I like that, Carter. That's sort of where I'm at too. I think in my heart, I want Vladimir Guerrero Jr. so bad to sign before the spring training deadline that he has set himself. I do a little bit of me think it's going to happen. I think the Blue Jays will cave and they will give him what he wants because they know that they will not get a player better than Vladimir Guerrero Jr. For that price or for any price, because every year they're going to just be fighting for a chance to get a big name player. I don't know. I think they're going to keep him around. I'm with you. I love Anthony Santander. I've said it from literally day one, maybe even before the offseason started. We were still in season. I said, Anthony Santander is my guy. I want him. I think he fits what this team is looking for. You need that fielder eventually. So I think, again, Anthony Santander should be the guy. Pete Alonso, I've loved Pete Alonso his entire career, so I'm in on him as well. I'd love to see him as a Toronto Blue Jay. The fit is a little bit weird for that one, which I think is why maybe that one's not heating up as much in conversation. But I'd be okay with that one for sure. I'm a little bit iffy on Bregman. I don't think it's going to happen, but again, I'd love to see that. So I'm with you. I think it's going to be Vlad, and I think it's going to be Anthony Santander. But I could also see nothing happening and we just running it back. The Blue Jays don't give Vlad the extension. they're going to fight for him in free agency and they don't sign anybody else. So that's sort of where my mindset is at, as depressing as that is. It's a situation we have to look at. I guess Carter saying that, we'll have to wait and see. I think if something is going to happen, it's going to be within the next week and a half. So again, stay tuned to the channel on here, YouTube, so that if we go live, you guys can see. So make sure you hit the subscribe button, turn the bell notifications on as well, so that if we do go live, you guys can be first to get notified. Hop in there, join us, find out what big move the Toronto Blue Jays have made. And again, that's praying, I guess.